Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? My name is Doodles. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Avenged Sevenfold released their brand new album called The Stage. They had us all fooled though because they said it was going to come out in December 2016, but out of nowhere, The Stage was just released unannounced and without warning. And I've got to say, it's a pretty damn good album. So now that that's been released, what better time than now to do this? So this is Avenged Sevenfold Ranked. So right, like the Guns N' Roses one, this is quite a hard one for me because I actually enjoy all the Avenged Sevenfold albums. None of the albums are bad in any way. They've all got the up points, they've all got the down points, but I own or have owned all the Avenged Sevenfold albums. So just because one is in last place, because one has to be in last place, doesn't mean it's a bad album at all. For this list, I'm going to be leaving out the Diamonds in the Rough album because that was just a bonus of B-sides that was released with a live DVD. It wasn't a fully fledged album release, so that is not going to be included, but the other 7 albums will be. So that all being said, let's get to number 7. So right, coming in last place is their debut album, Sound of the Seventh Trumpet. Like I said, just because it's in last place doesn't mean it's a bad album. Just out of all the albums that they've released, I think this is probably the weakest of the bunch. But this was their debut album. The band had only been together a couple of years by the time that this album came out, so they were still very fresh and still very unknown on the metal scene. The album cost only $2,000 to make and didn't take that long to track either. It was very raw, very unfinished. And with that all being said, even with a raw sounding album, you could tell that they were stars in the making. There was something about them. I don't think they quite knew what it was, but there was definitely something there. But I don't think they believed they were going to become the big stars that they were. But it was without a doubt just by listening to it that you could tell they were going to become big and they were going to make huge waves in the metal community, which, as you all know, they did. Some standout tracks include Darkness Surrounding, Art of Subconscious Illusion, Warmness of the Soul and Lips of Deceit. Although there's quite a lot of good songs on that album, just those are the 4 standout tracks for me. But like I said, even though it's in last place, doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad album. It's a good album in its own right for what it is, just obviously one album has to come last place. That's just how it is when it comes to a list. So with that all being said, let's get to number 6. So right, coming in at number 6 is Hail to the King, released in 2013. This was definitely the band's most mainstream effort. Before then, they were very much progressive, or they were metalcore. They sort of gravitated towards sort of screamo and metalcore style into sort of more progressive feel. But this one had a very mainstream sort of thrash sound, very similar to like Metallica's Black Album, which they were highly criticised for, pretty much ripping off on numerous occasions. But overall, despite the fact that this album got a lot of hate from more of the hardcore metal fans, the album did really well sales-wise, and I've got to say, I actually really did enjoy the album. I still do. For what it is pretty damn good. There's some good standout tracks in it. Just like I say, it's not as progressive as some of their other ones, which is what made them as famous as they are. But even though the songs were a little bit mainstream, a bit generic, the production was absolutely flawless. The drumming was fine, the bass was fine, the guitar playing was outstanding, the vocals were absolutely on point. But just a lot of people didn't like the fact that it was a bit mainstream and less progressive. But some standout tracks on the album include Shepherds of Fire, Hail to the King, Doing Time and Heretic.
So I arrived, naked and cold. A welcome change from the abeyance of a ghost town catacomb. No.
Coming in at number 5 is The Stage, the latest album by Avenged Sevenfold, released on October 28th, 2016. The album is quite different to their previous work because this is a concept album based on artificial intelligence and the self-destruction of society. This album is the first to feature their new drummer Brooks Wackerman, who is best known for his work in Bad Religion, but he's also done work with Avril Lavigne, Korn, Tenacious D and Suicidal Tendencies. This album is their longest album to date, clocking in just over 73 minutes, beating City of Evil by a minute. This album also features their longest song to date, which is about 15 minutes and 41 seconds long, titled Exist. This is their longest song to date by far. This album combines a lot of different elements together, from progressive metal to thrash metal to metalcore. There's blast beats, there's fast rapid riff structures, there's thrash style screaming, there's literally everything in this album. It's just very diverse and there's just a lot to it. Some standout tracks on the album include The Stage, Sunny Disposition, Goddamn, Roman Sky and Exist. M Shadow said the album is definitely a grower, not a show, and I've got to say I do agree with that statement. I got the album on release day and I've got to say the album was alright. It didn't stand out that much to me, but over time I've grown to love it and I think the album is getting better and better with each listen. I did a review of it back when the album was released, which you can find by clicking the card on screen now, and in that review I did say that the album was decent but not outstanding, but over time I've got to say it's definitely grown on me and I think it will grow on you too.
It's your fucking nightmare.
coming in at number 4 is Nightmare, released in 2010. This was the first album to be released after the passing of the Rev in 2009. Despite the Rev passing away before the album was complete, the Rev still does feature on it in drumming and vocal capacity. Considering the band was mourning the loss of one of their band members, they still put out a really solid album. You could feel the emotion running throughout the album as they were grieving and mourning the loss of their best friend. But despite all of that, all the usual Avenged Sevenfold stuff is on the album, from aggressive vocals to blistering guitar solos, the heavy fast drumming, you name it, it is on there. Standout tracks include Nightmare, Welcome to the Family, Danger Line and God Hates Us All, and as well as the final track that the Rev wrote called Fiction. But despite the fact that it's a solid album, the Rev is definitely missing from the album. He is featured a bit on it, just some of the stuff that he managed to do before he passed away. But like Hail to the King, it was definitely missing the flair that the Rev brought to the album. And although Brooks is doing really well with the stage, I don't know if they're ever going to get that spark back that he once had. But fingers crossed they do, because they're a fantastic band. And despite all the pain that they were going through, this was still a pretty solid album.
Come back to me, it's almost easy. You're back again.
So coming at number 3 is the band's self-titled album, released in 2007 after the huge success of City of Evil, where the band was catapulted into stardom. The album pretty much follows in the same breath as City of Evil. Fast progressive drums, huge guitar solos, aggressive vocals, everything just sounds huge, everything is just tight, and the songwriting is just absolutely on point. This album is absolutely on point from top to bottom, from the intro of Critical Acclaim to the final guitar solo and Dear God. This album is just full of great song after great song. Some of my favourite tracks include Critical Acclaim, Almost Easy, Afterlife, Lost and A Little Piece of Heaven. The songs are heavy, fast, hard hitting and just leave you wanting more. The whole band was absolutely on point in this album. This was definitely a standout moment for the band, and also the last to feature the Rev in full capacity before he passed away just sadly 2 years later.
She said as she walked away, tried not to lose you, to wearing up good change.
So coming in at number 2 is Waken the Fallen, released in 2003. This saw the band start to pick up steam and just start picking up traction before they were catapulted to stardom with City of Evil just 2 years later. On a personal note, this is actually my favourite album that Avenged Sevenfold has done. Just their next album was the one that truly made them the stars that they have become. This album is mainly metalcore. There's a lot more metalcore elements. They hadn't quite gone progressive just yet, but there's a few elements in there. This album features like half singing, half screaming, and you can tell the members are starting to find their feet in the style that they're going for. The Rev's drums are tight. They were a little bit loose on the first album that they did, but they're starting to get a lot more on point now. The guitar solos are getting bigger, the riffs are getting better, and you can just tell that there's just stars waiting to break out, and I think they definitely did that with this album. Some standout tracks in that album include Unholy Confessions, Chapter 4, Reminiscence, Eternal Rest, Second Heartbeat, and All Things Will End.
Can't you help me as I'm starting to burn? Too many doses and I'm starting to get an attraction.
So coming at number 1 is City of Evil, released in 2005. This album took Avenged Sevenfold from being local Orange County heroes to being a worldwide name. From the intro of The Beast and the Harlot, you just knew shit was going to go down, and it did. Time and time again, the band just delivered great song after great song. The playing was fast, the guitars were heavy, the solos were absolutely on point, and it is definitely one of the most standout albums of the 21st century so far. I could just reel off the whole album when it comes to standout tracks, but some of my personal favourites include Beast and the Harlot, Burn It Down, Blinded in Chains, Backcountry, Trashed and Scattered, Seize the Day, so the first 6 songs really. Then we get on the second 6, Sidewinder, fantastic song, Betrayed, fantastic song. And the final song, MIA, is a really good song too. So pretty much every single song on the album is absolutely fantastic. And chances are you'll have your own favourites, but there's definitely a few songs on there which I know you'll love regardless. So that is the end of my list. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Do you agree with the list? Let me know where you would rank all the Avenged Sevenfold albums down below in the comment section. And have you heard the stage yet? If you have, is it growing on you? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Let me know in the comment section also. If you've liked this video, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. You can follow me on all my social media at Duos Music, and I'll see you guys very, very soon in the next video.